and he considers it. When the Ukrainian state of Hetman Skoropadsky existed and the Germans were here, the Bilhorodshchina region was part of the Ukrainian state. But after the defeat of the Ukrainian Revolution, when the borders of Soviet Ukraine began to form, the Bilhorodshchina region was assigned to the territory of the Russian Federation. The Ukrainian Soviet delegation proposed, mirroring the stance of the Ukrainian People's Republic in its era, that Soviet Ukraine ought to be contained within the boundaries of the ethnic Ukrainian lands. Meaning, if the majority of the population is Ukrainian, it should belong to Soviet Ukraine. But Soviet Russia and its representatives did not think so. Therefore, a large part of the districts of the Bilhorodshchina region, Kurshchina region, Voronezhchina region, and later the Taganrogchina region and the Shakhty district were transferred to Soviet Russia. This was in 1925 to 1926. This specific border was being normalized between Soviet Ukraine and Soviet Russia, and that is how it was decided at that particular time.
Is there something, well, I'm not sure how to correctly phrase it or pick the right word. Is there any correlation or consideration concerning the transfer of Crimea to Ukrainian ownership, specifically regarding the economic repercussions and underlying reasons for such a decision? Is there some sort of norm or rule regarding those lands from that period, similar to the situation with Crimea, that these territories, specifically the Bilhorodshchina region and all the other mentioned areas, were eventually transferred to Russia? But isn't it also true that the ethnic makeup of the population should be a factor? Or is that simply not taken into consideration at all?
The Ukrainian delegation insisted back then in the 1920s on having an ethnic border, but the Russian delegation did not consent to that. They had their own economic considerations regarding this matter, which I'm not prepared to name for you right now, specifically the Russian side's reasoning. You would have to delve into specialized literature that, well, discusses these specific negotiations. These discussions, in fact, continued for several years, these negotiations, where it would be detailed.
Wow, even like that, for several years straight.
Indeed, these negotiations commenced in the early 1920s and reached their conclusion in 1926, at which point it was definitively established.
And who controlled the Bilhorodshchina region during this whole period, for example?
Most likely it was already part of Russia.
And despite all of that, negotiations were still ongoing.
Negotiations were being conducted between the Kharkiv Soviet government and the Moscow Russian government.
Oh, wow.
Not negotiations, not international ones as such, but there was correspondence between the Kharkiv government and the Moscow government. The Kharkiv Soviet government made proposals concerning the district divisions, borders, and other related matters.
Oh, wow. And wait, can you repeat that again, please? The 10-volume work, what's it called?
A History Without Censorship.
Oh.
And there's a specific volume dedicated to Soviet Ukraine during the 1920s and 1930s. From what I understand, the authors themselves have already made it publicly accessible online, and this particular volume is available in PDF format. You can simply download it for free, as far as I know.
Is there an author?
It is Gennady Yefimenko.
Yefimenko.
He's now a leading specialist at the Institute of History of Ukraine, specializing in this very period.
Aha, that's something I absolutely must look into. You know, I'm a native of Kharkiv myself, and, well, as you can imagine, I was born in 1986. And during the collapse, when I was a kid, I used to spend all my summers in the Bilhorodshchina region, and my whole family stayed there. And as of today, my attitude toward this, well, you get it, is exactly that they can go to hell, where you send them at the end of the video, and my entire family went there too. And I'm genuinely interested in actually reading about how, my personal life's overall narrative is, thank goodness I wasn't born just 40 kilometers further in that direction. I was very fortunate in that respect, because I don't know.
Well, within the since the Soviet Union was established in 1922, 1923, these internal administrative borders didn't hold much significance. Nevertheless, the Soviet delegation, precisely because it was Soviet, continued to advocate for the establishment of Soviet Ukraine's borders according to the ethnic principle.
Well, now I'm truly interested. I became even more curious when you mentioned that negotiations spanned many years, and during all that time these territories remained under Russian control. And yet some correspondence, even negotiations continued. But they continued.
And the issue was finally settled in 1926 when they were transferred.
I will definitely look up this information, and perhaps the next time we meet I might have some additional questions regarding this. Perhaps something will come to mind that I'd like to ask.
Lands around Putyville were transferred to Ukraine, and Ukraine transferred the Shakhty district and Taganrogshkina region to Russia. What about the Bilhorodshchina region? Well, honestly, I don't remember the specific situation with the Bilhorodshchina region.
I completely understand. Thank you so much for your insights.
You're welcome.
All right then. I see the electricity. Glory to the heroes. It looks like the electricity has been restored. Have a safe day. All the best to you. And strong health to you. Oh, by the way, I mentioned to my mom that I had a conversation with you. She also sent her very best regards and was incredibly happy that I had the opportunity to meet with you. I really appreciate your time. I definitely will, believe me. I'll pass that on. Thank you.
Good luck. I don't recall how Bilhorodshchina was transferred and how those borders were formed. God, why are these people so interested in border formation? Yes, the Ukrainian Soviet delegation, even though it was Soviet, endeavored to establish Soviet Ukraine as an ethnic Ukraine. This was largely due to a significant number of what were known as National Bolsheviks individuals who held the belief that Ukraine could exist as a sovereign state, though not entirely independent, but rather as a sovereign state within the Soviet Union. However, borders needed to be established according to ethnic lines. And this is the Ukrainian Soviet delegation, the Kharkiv Soviet government, toward which well, nowadays we don't feel entirely positive about this period and the people involved in it, let's just say, but nonetheless, a fact is a fact.
Let's talk about history.
All right, what was the last book I'm asking? What was the last history book you've read apart from a textbook or a fiction novel? Let's try to start from there.
On history? No, none.
What is there to ask you then? First, you should have read up on history.
You better tell me.
No, it doesn't work like that. I'm not a storyteller. I talk to people who are interested in history.
Well, I am interested, see?
When someone is truly interested, they pick up a book and read, but you don't seem to be. That's just my honest opinion. I specifically asked you if you had read even one book.
Last one you read?
Well, for example, I'm reading Cossack March right now.
Aha, is that a history book?
It's a monograph. Do you know what that is?
Oh no, tell me. It's interesting.
It is a scholarly work, authored by someone with at least a candidate of sciences degree.
Theft.
And what are you talking about?
Are there any in Ukraine?
No, we don't have any here. We only have PhDs and doctors in the Russian Federation, not in Ukraine.
Aha, then all the best.
A typical refined classic example of a Russian federalist, an individual who doesn't read anything at all, who has read nothing about history, yet believes his knowledge and understanding of the world, specifically history, is paramount and superior to everything else. They read nothing, but assume nothing good can come from Ukraine. No.
For territory liberation.
Yes, for the liberation of territories. How else do you suggest we fight?
Well, no, listen, again, different people live there. Some people have a homeland, the territory they belong to, while others possess some universal human values.
Some individuals have a life, and to save that life, one must abandon their home and flee. There's no other alternative to that. Or are you suggesting we should sign a peace treaty with Putin, in effect?
Listen, well, as a Donetsk resident, I can be called many things, like a collaborator or not. I personally believe that this form of liberation is not ideal. For instance, if Zelensky had said to me, Mark, for 8 years you've been carrying a Ukrainian passport, hoping that based on the Minsk agreements you would eventually return to Ukraine. But we've resolved to liberate Donetsk and Luhansk, and as a result, you might find yourself without a home, so it's advisable for you to leave.
No, you can stay right there at home. You will lie down right along with that bomb, and that will be a Ukrainian bomb.
Right. And that's why, of course, for me, as a resident of Donetsk, in such a situation, it's preferable to be a collaborator and say, all right, Volodymyr Zelensky, I'd rather align myself with Vladimir Vladimirovich.
You see, all you're doing is justifying collaboration, nothing more.
Yeah, I get it.
That's just collaborationism.
You see, it's just that for me.
You want to live. If you wanted to live in Russia so badly, why didn't you move there, sell your house, and go to Russia? Did not want to live in Russia?
I wanted to live.
Why didn't you sell your home? You're an intelligent person. You perfectly understood that sooner or later the war would arrive at your doorstep.
It was.
You don't want to defend your home. You're hoping, you're expecting that collaboration with Russia will save your life and your property. But that is nothing more than just a hope.
Yes, just like your Lend-Lease hope.
No, the Lend-Lease is signed and active.
I mean, will it lead to the result that you...
It to a result? In a war, the side with the Lend-Lease always wins. Just remember World War II.
I get it.
Yes, there are very many factors that indicate Russia will not be able to last for long. Are you pinning your hopes on Russia? That's entirely your right. You are justifying collaborationism, I understand you, and I'm not even calling you any names. You are a typical collaborator, merely hoping to save your life and property, and nothing beyond that. You didn't defend Ukraine, and you don't particularly want to defend Russia either.
Yes, naturally. So, like Russia. What really is Russia anyway?
What do you mean? What exactly is Russia? A large country that came to help you, that supposedly protected you for 8 years, and now you don't want to defend it.
Well, you see, to me, Russia is more of an imperialistic kind of state, an imperial one. That is to say,
So why are you serving this Russia?
because that's just how the situation turned out.
What situation? Right now, the situation is you still have the chance to sell and leave.
Yeah, I get it.
To Russia, to Ukraine, I don't know, to Belarus, wherever you want.
Well, I really like my city. I truly love it.
I understand you like your city, but a bomb is going to land on your head, and most likely, it will be a Ukrainian bomb.
Well, I understand that. Yes, of course.
So,
listen, until that happens, I'm going to hope for the best.
Until the very end. Well, all right.
Something like that. Listen, well, it's actually interesting talking to you because, first of all, you've, well, refreshed my memory on some facts. I mean, I really didn't even remember that stuff anymore. And, well, actually, I want to express my gratitude to you for not stooping to the level of many people, you know, with insults and all that kind of stuff.
I do lower myself to that level. I'm just restraining myself with you for some reason. I don't know why.
I see.
Especially after what happened in Venezia today. Did you see what happened in Venezia?
Yes, I saw it, yes.
So what's your take on it?
How do I assess it? The death of people, even just one person, is an extremely bad thing, and war in general.
To collaborate with a collaborator, with the occupier, solely for the purpose of saving your personal life.
Well, look, it just so happens that in our city, just a couple of hours ago, there was a shelling incident.
Was Donbass bombed heavily over those 8 years? Go on, tell me.
No.
There were no bombings happening, right?
We're not comparing sizes, you know?
No, we are comparing sizes right now. That's what we're doing.
Oh, right.
Yes, look, in 8 years of the so-called bombing of Donbass, how many houses in Donetsk were damaged?
Donetsk's northern part, the private sector, yes, quite a lot.
A little bit? No, just a little.
The city's northern part.
Compared to Mariupol, that is, if you compare from...
There's no comparison at all, of course.
Mariupol, etc.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Thus, the Ukrainian army, having received high-precision weaponry, has been shelling Donetsk every day for the past few days. Where exactly are they mostly hitting? Shopping centers?
I mean...
And where did the Russian army strike today?
Look, the House of Officers, what kind of building is that?
It's a cultural center, a club, where there have never been any officers. These are so-called houses of officers left over from Soviet times. There's a theater, a stage, various clubs, and similar facilities located there.
I just don't like to, you know, get my information from TV. Like, I don't watch Russian channels. I sometimes check the Telegram channels of cities where these kinds of events take place. So one of the Venezia bloggers, I can, if you are interested, I can even tell you his name. He posed a question, he asked a question concerning the fact that why are the places where military personnel are stationed or in some way organized located right in the very center of cities, in the central parts of urban areas?
That's a Soviet tradition. The House of Officers was always in the center of any regional city. In Kiev, the House of Officers is in the center. This Soviet tradition is pervasive. No warehouses anywhere. Maybe there was some kind of warehouse in this one, there. However, if we have been hitting Donetsk these last few weeks, consistently striking warehouses, and this is indeed confirmed, then the Russian army is purposefully targeting civilian populations. Does that not raise any concerns for you whatsoever? No?
Look, I must agree with you that the accuracy of these weapons is quite high, and I mean,
Wait, Venezia was hit by a Kaliber missile. Indeed, it was struck by a Kaliber missile. It's a high precision weapon, meaning it precisely hit its intended target, exactly where it was aimed.
well, look, I know.
Shot at civilians?
Ukrainian sources indicate the first missile struck the building and the second hit a nearby parking lot. And it was the second near the parking lot that injured many civilians.
Well, so why did they shoot at the parking lot?
Well, the first missile hit the building, so to speak.
House of Officers?
Well, the House of Officers.
So what? There was some kind of ammunition depot there. It detonated.
People are writing, those residing in Venezia, they're reporting that, those affiliated with the military, they witnessed military personnel going there, merely signing certain documents on the spot.
Naturally, there are some offices there and a club as well. The House of Officers is typically managed by the Ministry of Defense. Did Donetsk not have a House of Officers? Have you never been there?
I just see this whole situation as a mirror image. I mean, everything that's happening to us and to...
Hold on. In what way is this a mirror image? If we are firing at storage facilities holding weapons and ammunition that subsequently detonate, the Russian army fires at civilians. Where is the mirror image in that?
Well, is the House of Officers a civilian target?
The House of Officers is a completely civilian building. Go into Donetsk in Google Maps and check where your House of Officers is and who is present there. Go ahead, look. You will see barbershops for rent and so on. There's only one small room designated for the House of Officers and nothing else.
In that sense, I agree with you that
Mariupol was intentionally destroyed, and the steel plant was intentionally destroyed. And you're calling it a mirror image? How exactly is it a mirror image? The Russian army fights like barbarians. They always fought that way, and they still do. Don't expect anyone to protect you.
I'm not, how should I put it? I'm not waiting for protection from anyone, I understand that.
Well, the opportunity still exists. Yesterday, I chatted with a young man from Donetsk who's actually in Poland. He says, "We have a 3-room apartment remaining in Donetsk, not right in the center and not on the outskirts." I ask, "How much is your 3-room apartment worth? I mean, what's your asking price?" "Around $30,000. Is that even realistic?"
That's quite possible. Before, I think an apartment like that would have cost around 70,000.
Well, prices clearly dropped, but they're real prices. And he says, "We'll try to do everything we can to sell this apartment." And it's like, we understand that we won't be staying in Donetsk anymore. And this is despite him having an expired Ukrainian passport. He has a DPR passport, he told me. But with that passport, you can only really travel around Russia.
I have, by the way, the exact same situation. I mean, I only got a DPR passport because I couldn't.
I asked him, "How did you end up in Poland?" He said, "Through Russia, through Belarus. They let me into Poland with an expired Ukrainian passport." So people took advantage of the situation and are now trying to sell their home. What are you waiting for? I don't know.
You see, actually, just getting out of here isn't, it's really not that straightforward,
I understand.
For the male population residing here, those who are subject to mobilization, there are numerous options to find themselves on the front lines, even if it's not what they desire. And so, it's like you really have to think about what the best course of action would be in this situation.
The best thing to do is save your own life. You have to understand you're at the heart of the war right now.
You're right.
For a day, 2, or even a week, there might be no shooting, but Donetsk is already being heavily shelled. You've seen it yourself.
Yeah. In principle, I agree with you. We'll see how it goes, later. It was truly a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you for being able to keep our conversation on a respectful level.
Of course, make the most of it.
I wish you peace.
No thanks, victory. Peace only comes as a result of victory.
Well,